Hello, my name is Dr. Nidhi Nema, and we are back with our lecture on creative writing. Now, American writer Maya Angelou very famously said that there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Now, what Angelou here meant was that creative writing is not merely a art or a craft or a hobby, but it is a basic fundamental human necessity. It is the need to shape our experiences into meaning which each one of us holds inside us. Now, let's take a look at various formats of creative writing. One of the most famous and most popular format of creative writing is literature. Then comes digital content, speeches and oratory, lyrics and script writing, and advertisements. Now, literature includes poetry, drama, prose, and fiction. All of these four genres are extremely popular, and the prerequisites or the characteristic feature of all of these writing is imagination, detailing and description, reflection, and ability to evoke image in the heads of the reader. Second is digital content, or which includes blogs and travelogues, all kinds of social media content. Now, this content or this kind of writing has to be relatable. It has to have facts which should be combined with storytelling style and technique. The content has to be engaging and influencing. Now, speeches and oratory. Now, speeches and oratory, you would say, are the speaking skills, but before you make a speech, you write about it. Writing comes before speaking because writing is the input for the output of speaking. So, whenever you write speeches or go for oratory, you have to make sure that your writing or your script is persuasive, it is inspiring, binding, and very expressive. Same for lyrics and script writing, they are part of song and cinema or theatre. Here, the writing has to incorporate music and rhythm into it. The dialogues and the storytelling involves creativity. They should be original, and they should again be able to hold influence on the audience or the listeners. Advertisements require most amount of imagination and creativity. Advertisements are the field where the creators employ most originality and creativity because they have to create their brand value, and they have to create connection, and they have to convince people to buy the products or the services. So, the writing has to be very relatable and very persuasive. So, before we go into other fields of creative writing, we need to understand what makes a story. Story is one genre where everybody is interested in reading as well as writing. Now, story for all the upcoming writers has to be understood properly with all its elements. One of the major elements of story writing is plot. Stories come with plot. Plot is nothing but sequential arrangement of the incidents or events throughout the storyline. It is made up of 5 elements: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Exposition is the beginning part of the story where the characters, setting, background, and a kind of conflict is introduced. This conflict, as the story progresses, intensifies and leads to rising action, where development takes place in such a manner that various characters or situations come in tension with each other. Then story reaches a point of climax where this tension or conflict cannot be extended any further, and the truth is revealed. The events are unraveled here, and you can see or predict the ending. You can see where it is going to lead, whether it's going to be happy ending or sad ending. Once this revelation happens, things start falling in place, which lead to falling action, and after falling action you can see the end, or you reach the end point where things are resolved as they were foreseen in the climax section of the plot. Now, characters are another important element of story writing. Character or characterization is something which has to be understood properly by all the upcoming and budding writers. Characters on the basis of the role can be described as either protagonist or antagonist or jesters or side actors on the basis of their change throughout the storyline. They can be described as flat or round characters. Now, flat character is something that remains constant throughout the story. Round character is something which is a dynamic character and grows and evolves and changes in the process of the development of the plot. Now, before you go into understanding the art of characterization, you need to understand a little bit theory of it also. Now, Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst, has famously given the character archetypes. Now, these are 12 stock characters according to Jung, or the archetypes or the prototype models of behavior and pattern and thought that you can find in all cultures and all societies. They are kind of universal and innate patterns of thoughts and behavior. They are the kind of shared inner layer of psyche which manifest in our myths and stories. And for any writer who wants to tell a story, he needs to understand all of these character types so that he can perfect his art of characterization. All of these character types are kind of seekers. They are seeking something. There are 3 cardinal orientations that the archetypes are actually seeking. They are ego, soul, or self. Now, this is the topic of broader deliberation, which cannot be done right now. So, we'll just move beyond it. Next important element of story is theme. Now, theme is the backbone of the story. It is the central idea or the key insight of the story. It is something which is kind of the take of the writer on the topic that he has chosen. So, for example, if he has taken love as the emotion of his story, theme is going to be the writer's take on that love, the emotion of love. It is going to be his point of view, his treatment of the topic of love. So, it cannot be confused with the moral or the central emotion or central mood of the story. Theme is actually to be perceived as author's unique take or perspective or point of view on the given topic. Now, theme is something which unravels through the process of story and development. It is something which is inferred by the readers. It is never explicit, it is always implicit. And it can be broad or it can be very, very specific. Theme usually has to be 1 or 2. Multiple themes should not be ideally mixed in a story because it is going to lead to confusion. Some of the common examples of themes that you find in stories are good versus evil, fate versus free will, power corruption, justice and revenge, love and sacrifice. Now, these are the common themes that you find in majority of the stories as well as cinema. Next element of story is setting. Now, story setting is the when and where of the story. It tells you when the action has taken place and where the action has taken place, the time and place of the action of the story. It lends the atmosphere and mood to the story in the sense, for example, if you are writing a horror story and you have set it in a castle or in a dark jungle, the description of that castle or that jungle has to be such that it contributes to the element of horror that you are trying to create in your story, the mood of horror that you are trying to create in the story. So, setting in that sense does half the work. Some of the examples of setting, good setting that you find in literature are Thomas Hardy's Wessex. Thomas Hardy's majority of novels are tragedies, and his Wessex, or the description of Wessex that he does in all his novels, serves the purpose of enhancing the dismal and the coarse tragedies that he is trying to depict. Next would be Wuthering Heights. Stormy moods kind of reflect the wildness of protagonist Heathcliff. His tempestuous nature is shown through the roughness of the environment in which he is set. Similarly, Hogwarts of Harry Potter series or Middle Earth of Lord of the Rings, these are few settings in which writers have invested so much that they become the high point of the respective stories. They create kind of believable worlds where the readers and the audience get invested. Now, other elements and features of the stories can be point of views, which can be single, double, first person, second person, as well as third person. Then comes tone and mood, which depends on the voice of the writer that he wants to take throughout the story. Dialogues are extremely important because they serve the purpose of taking the story forward. Style is again very individualistic. And media, last but not the least, media is nothing but the medium that you want to choose for presenting your story. It can be paper, I mean it can be a fiction, or it can be theatre, it can be televised, or it can be shot in a kind of film. Now, this is one activity which is for the practice. Kindly go through it, understand what it requires of you, and practice it in your own time. Thank you.